Hi everyone, it's me Cam. It's been a while since I've done a Cam chat, so I wanted to take the time to just sit here and chat today. The topic that I want to touch on today is the hashtag Free Britney movement. Whether you like her or not, it's clear that Britney Spears is one of the most influential pop stars of our time and one of the most successful. With that being said, it's also apparent that she's dealt with a lot of controversy and issues in her past that's very known to the world. I wanted to take the time to kind of discuss, some of the things that have been happening in her life or have happened in her life. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, the hashtag Free Britney movement is a movement that was started by fans online over the growing concern over her well-being underneath the conservatorship that she's been in since 2008. For those of you who don't know what a conservatorship is, essentially a conservatorship is a legal guardianship appointed over somebody by a court system because the individual has been deemed incompetent or incapacitated. Guardianships and conservatorships are given to those that are very old and cannot take care of themselves, to the extremely mentally incapacitated, or to people who suffer from things like dementia. So that is what Britney Spears has been under since 2008. So I wanted to take the time to just discuss some of my own thoughts about it and to kind of continue the conversation, because I think there's a lot of things that aren't right with the conservatorship and with Britney Spears. So my first thing that I want to touch on is kind of the idea that Britney Spears is so mentally incapacitated or so mentally not right that she needs to have an extensive group of lawyers and caretakers and people ruling every aspect of her life. It's been confirmed by her brother Brian Spears, who held an interview on a podcast, that she has zero control over any aspect of her life. She can't even make a reservation at a restaurant without getting somebody else to do it or having prior approval. It's been rumored that she can't have children without permission, she can't vote, she can't spend her money without approval first. She can't go get a coffee or drive her car without approval. The rumored control over her life is actually insane, which I think is just sickening to happen to anybody, but understandably so if that person truly is incapable of making decisions for themselves. I think Britney Spears' case is highly unusual, as has been said by many legal experts who say it's unusual for somebody who's under a conservatorship to have so much activity and involvement in their personal, business, and financial affairs. Obviously, Britney Spears, over the last 12 years, has released several critically acclaimed albums. She's gone on multiple world tours. She had a 1-year stint on The X Factor. She held a 4-year, widely successful and critically acclaimed residency in Las Vegas. And she's also been a part of many successful perfume and clothing lines. So I just think it's very interesting that she's still under a conservatorship if she's mentally well enough to be able to do all of those things, but can't make decisions for herself or control her own money. Speaking of her finances, it's very interesting. I think that a pop star as hugely successful and well known as Britney Spears only has a net worth of $60 million. There are alleged reports that Britney Spears' Pepsi advertisement deal in the early 2000s was alone worth almost $50 million. So to say that her net worth is only worth $60 million is insane. Forbes even did an analysis of the earnings of Britney Spears over the entire course of her career and estimated that her net worth could be as much as $650 million. Yet her true net worth has been valued at $60 million in court documents as recent as 2018, I believe. That in and of itself I think is very shady, and I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything because, again, there's a lot that we don't know about the conservatorship. There's a lot of things that we don't know. However, I just think that's very shady and not right to think that somebody as successful and popular as Britney Spears has such a small net worth. Something else that I want to discuss too are the events that led to the temporary conservatorship that was placed over Britney before it became permanent. Obviously, Britney Spears had a very public mental health breakdown in 2007. Some notable things that happened during that time were her 5150 involuntary mental holds placed over her by members of her family because they were very concerned for her safety and well-being. Other events include Britney shaving her head, Britney attacking the paparazzi with an umbrella, and going through a widely publicized and intense divorce and custody battle. So again, while it's none of our business to know the true extent of Britney's mental health issues, it's very apparent that she had a very public breakdown in 2007. However, I will say this, I think it's a bit of a reach to say that just because she shaved her head and hit a car with an umbrella makes her clinically insane or she's lost her mind and gotten crazy. I think a part of the issue was that she was placed on such a high pedestal at such a young age because of her immense popularity worldwide. It was almost inevitable that she was going to fall off that pedestal very rough and very hard, and she was basically, I think, on a collision course for what happened in 2007 for a long time. I think she was going through a lot. I mean, being in the media and the tabloids and having paparazzi harass you all the time, I can't imagine how much of a toll that could take on a human, let alone to also be dealing with the death of a close loved one, a divorce and custody battle, and other personal issues. It only makes sense that those things happened. I will say that I don't think her shaving her head made her crazy. If anything, that might have been super liberating for her to make a decision for herself, because it's been rumored that at the early stages of her career, when she was still very young, every single aspect of her life was controlled and scheduled out. So to be able to make a decision for yourself, even if it's something as wild as shaving her head, she could have been doing that more because it felt liberating to her to be able to make a decision for herself versus doing it just because she had lost her mind or something like that. Again, the umbrella attack on the paparazzi's vehicle, I mean, can you really blame her for that? She was being harassed by the paparazzi constantly, 24/7, followed around everywhere, stalked by them. I mean, how couldn't you justify something like that? Was it a bad decision on her part? Yes. Was it a bad look? Yes. But do you blame her? Is she wrong for doing that? I don't know. I don't think so. Another aspect to the conservatorship too is I think there's just a lot of evidence out there that shows that Britney has never really wanted to be underneath the conservatorship. In the early 2000s, is also in court documents that Britney had tried to hire her own legal counsel to fight the conservatorship and to represent her in court to show that she was mentally capable of making her own decisions, and that there was reasons for not having to go underneath the conservatorship. In both cases, the lawyers were thrown out of the court by the judges because she was deemed mentally incompetent and not able to hire herself legal counsel, which I think is very messed up, because I think there's a lot of civil rights violations taking place underneath this conservatorship. Again, we don't know the full extent of that. I say that because somebody as active, somebody as successful as Britney Spears, to say that she can't make simple decisions for herself, I just think is absurd. There's literally so much to unpack with the hashtag Free Britney movement. There's a lot we don't know on both sides of the argument, and there's a lot of things we'll never know about this conservatorship because the likelihood of all documentation ever being made public is very slim to none, especially now that in recent weeks the court has granted full privacy over all documentation relating to the conservatorship. I placed in the description below a link to a comprehensive and detailed timeline of the conservatorship over the last 12 years that I think you should all take a look at and read through for yourselves to make your own decisions and conclusions about the Free Britney movement. The next big court date for Britney Spears is August 19th. That is the next status hearing for Britney Spears, and hopefully she's able to represent herself in court and speak on her own behalf in court. This could be the first big step for Britney Spears in loosening the restrictions of the conservatorship, or perhaps potentially removing it completely from her life. So hopefully things go well for her. Obviously, as I've been saying, there's a lot that we don't know about the conservatorship and about Britney's mental well-being, and that's none of our business, to be frankly honest. However, I do hope that sooner rather than later she is able to speak on her own behalf in the public eye, to give her own thoughts and to give her own statements and comments about this movement in a candid interview. So I hope you guys enjoyed listening to some of my own thoughts on the whole controversy surrounding the conservatorship of Britney Spears. As I said, take a look at the timeline that I placed in the description below so you can get a better idea of this conservatorship and again make your own decisions and conclusions about it. And thank you all so much for your support as always. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think about the conservatorship of Britney Spears. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay you. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.